Okay, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this month's webinar called Navigating Your Data Through Mapping. My name is Claudine Ting, and I'm the Marketing Specialist for Client Success here at SmartSimple. So just before we begin our webinar, I wanted to send a few reminders about some some SmartSimple events that we have coming up. Registration is now open for Elevate San Diego. Our early bird rate is at $249, and that's only available until August 31. So it would be a really good idea that you sign up for our biggest event of the year as soon as you can. A few events that we have going on too for the year: Block Party New York for September 12th. Block Party San Diego would be on October 23. Again, Elevate San Diego, our annual conference, it will be on October 23 to the 25th. And last but not the least, we have Block Party Copenhagen on November 15th. Some webinars that we have coming up. Next month is Upgrade Month again. So we have our Upgrade Q&A webinar scheduled for August 13th and August 15th. We're also going to be having a webinar about integrations, and that would be on August 27th and August 29th. So before I introduce our hosts for today, I'd like to remind everyone about some housekeeping rules for our webinars. It's very simple. If you have a question, please type them on the Q&A box or the chat box, and we'll answer all of them at the end of the presentation. So now I'm going to pass the mic to our hosts, Rachel and Eric.
Hi, guys. My name is Rachel Sloat, and I am a research analyst here at SmartSimple. My role is pretty diverse. I would be helping clients kind of on an end-to-end spectrum, so doing sales, maintaining our demo systems, but also helping clients during implementation.
Hi, everybody. It's Eric Lauer here, Director of Customer Experience, and just basically client-focused, making sure everybody is taken care of from us as an organization. And most of you would have engaged with at some point during your partnership with us. And we're excited today to present mapping to you today.
All right. Okay, Eric, Rachel, you guys are still hungover from our topics earlier about cable and Netflix, so let's get started.
So in today's webinar, what we want to walk you through is some of the possibilities that we have in the platform that can help you visualize the data that you have in a map format. So we're going to take you on a bit of a journey. We're going to show you the way we'd originally been doing this functionality through web-enabled maps, which are basically just web-enabled reports that had map functionality overlaid and then were embedded into client websites, for example. And then we're going to talk about other ways that we've built in platform functionality to be able to do this a lot easier and to make it more maintainable, and something that you guys can do on your own without much help from us. So the two examples that we have to talk about today are impact mapping and also list view maps.
And just to further Rachel's point there, a lot of the times this is an approach we typically take here at SmartSimple. We may start with some custom solutions to get a feel for what people are trying to do, work out the different possibilities, and then we like to take that functionality and try to incorporate it into the platform. So you're going to kind of see the evolution here of how what people were looking to do, and then how can we make those similar tools available to you just out of the box.
Absolutely. So in terms of mapping, when we talk about data visualization, I think a lot of people, and you guys might feel the same way, are really visual learners. And when you're dealing with huge data sets, like you would be when you're using the SmartSimple platform, being able to visualize your data certainly makes that data a lot more meaningful to the people that are interacting with it, whether it's your stakeholders or internally. So what we try to do is to help with that process. We incorporated some tools like adding geolocation to our addresses so that they can be passed through the Google API. And that's what makes it possible for us to render specific data points in a mapping format. And again, in the ways that we tried to go about doing this is incorporating these new features, as I was mentioning, like list view maps, impact maps, into the baseline platform. We also have a custom field option available now, which is Enable Map Service, which allows you to manually create address fields that can be mapped on and plotted on a map. So instead of having to rely on a standard field address or anything like that, you can manually make those fields and have the system pick up on them as mappable coordinates. And we also have integration with the US Census Data, and I think Eric can speak a bit about that.
We do. So that, again, you may not think it's like, how's that related to mapping, but it's actually taking your, based on your geolocation, as Rachel said, it plots that against or compares that against the US Census right down to the tract level. So you can actually plot to see where you know, your NGOs or the organizations that you're dealing with, you know, where they reside from a census, like from a, you know, demographic point of view. So it'll take that data, pass it through, or compare it against the US Census, and then we display that, not so much as a map, but into a form of charts and graphs to say, oh, if you're in this area, this is your tract, this is your region, here's the demographics for that particular area. And I just wanted to also, we do a lot of the out-of-the-box stuff we deal with. The Google API just is easy, and that's typically fine for most people. But we can also, you know, we work with organizations such as like ArcGIS. If you're looking for, you know, more detailed maps when it comes to, you know, not just finding out where the nearest Starbucks is, but if you need to actually see, we do a lot of research granting, you know, sort of under Rachel's bailiwick. But you know, sometimes if people are looking to do a project, but they need to incorporate a map to see, well, maybe I'm going to impact some environmentally sensitive areas or things like that. Oh. So we can use more detailed maps that will tell you things like, this is, you know, where, even things like, you know.
The large deer population.
Exactly. Or underground. Yeah, so inland fisheries, I believe in Ireland, is using that for part of their projects when they plot where they're going to be located, because sometimes it may impact some, even things, I think, people like ArcGIS, they keep, you know, like electrical conduits under the road or where sewage paths are. So anyway, it can get very detailed if required.
Absolutely.
So some of the benefits of using a mapping visualization is, of course, that you can help with your long-term impact tracking and try to make the visualization of your information a lot more meaningful when you share it internally and with your stakeholders, as I was saying earlier. And I think when it comes to understanding where your money goes and the work that you're doing, it can be really useful to help you realign some of your initiatives. Maybe you find that you're overfunding a certain area with a certain initiative, and that maybe there's certain things that you're working on that could be under-serviced once you're able to see it as a big picture. And definitely we're working with these tools to give you baseline platform options to be able to start working right away with this type of visualization.
So in this case, we'll start with going back to the agenda. We're going to show you some of the how people have applied impact maps onto their public websites. And these, just to reiterate, these are some customization going on here, both from our end as well as the client. So Ontario Trillium Foundation, as you know, they're responsible for their own website and they're handling the format. But essentially, this data that you're seeing now on the screen is really data coming from SmartSimple. And a lot of people are using this methodology with which to present the impact of their granting. And you can see here, I mean, it's a funny thing with the visual maps is that, you know, I don't have to read through rows and rows of data to try and figure out what's going on. You know, with a few seconds, I can already see things like where, you know, where is a lot of the funding going? And most of it's sitting in the southern part of the province, however, which makes sense, and that's where most of the population is. And then you can see as we go north where it's more rural or just, you know, not many people are living, there's not as much funding up in those areas, which makes sense for this type of granting. When we get into this example, this is Toronto Arts Council. So they're a local arts funding agency. They've decided to plot the, again, their projects, their grants on a map local to the city with which you can drill down. And again, this is just using Google API, it's Google Map. One of the nice things is on the left-hand side, you can filter by program, but you can also overlay things like this. So what we've done now is overlaid the map with the political boundaries. So in this case, you can see the various areas from a political standpoint of the different parts of the city, or things like the neighborhoods, the local neighborhoods that everybody knows who live in the city. Or we can zoom in and say what's happening in the financial core in the downtown area. So there's different options that you can use once you start plotting data on a map, including things like this in the overlays. And last but not least, this is a very interesting approach that Coca-Cola has taken with, again, a global company, they're granting around the world, and we can see here that they're plotting around the map and the impact that they're making. And the nice thing about this approach was the ability to filter on the left-hand side, similar to the Toronto Arts Council, but this is more on a global scale. We have a lot more options here. We can filter by continent. We can filter by type, even a dollar range. Let's see projects, around a certain amount, and then different categories, right? So, there's a lot you can do with the map, and then, I like this approach too, where you click on the plots, and it'll give you a little bit of a backstory about how they and what they achieved there, what kind of projects they've supported.
So just a quick commentary here. Those maps that we show, they are all public domain.
They are.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so as Eric was saying, those would have been an example of version 1.0 of mapping tools in the system, and something that definitely required a lot more input on our end, and because they were more scripted and very formatted. So what we've done here now is move towards some functionality and options that are baseline and available to everybody, and something that you can even do on your own. So looking now at list view maps, we can go here into one of our demo systems. And what we're looking at here now is the organization list view. So here in our main menu settings, organization, you can see we just have a very basic list view that is showing all of the different organization bodies that are in the system. And in the options, in terms of the different list views I've configured, we have one of them set up that is set to open as a map panel. And that's just a toggle that we have in the list view configuration settings. It's just one click of a button, and then the list view is going to automatically open in split screen.
The nice thing about this is, again, you'll see it's a similar style. On the left-hand side, you still have your list. It's showing everybody in the list now as the little dots on the map is where they're located. In the top right, we're seeing things like map filter options, which is quite handy. You can also take that approach that Toronto Arts Council had, and the system gives you the ability to add your own overlays if you want here as well. So these are public domain files that you can import into the system and overlay on top of any map that's available to you. Again, the nice thing using the Google API is we have all those great Google features. You can street view, you can zoom in and out, change the views between map and satellite, things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. Whee! So the list view mapping options are certainly the easiest thing to set up if you're looking to start playing around with your data on a map view. And even if you're not necessarily ready data-wise to start plotting things on a map, maybe you haven't been keeping track of address information consistently or across all of the bodies in your system, it's a way that you can easily just toggle on the feature to start seeing and playing around with the idea of mapping in your system. So the next type of mapping that we're going to talk about is is somewhat of a hybrid between the list view maps and then the really customized examples that we showed at the beginning of the demo. So the new impact maps that we have created allow you to really customize, well, not customize, but self-configure. We're very wary about the word customization because that means like, oh, we're going to code things now, you know, but
we try to avoid coding as much as possible.
But the impact map is going to allow you to really control a lot of the visualization on your end. So if we look at this demo system, we have a link on our main menu to one of the impact maps that we've created. And you can see that definitely the look and feel of it is a lot closer to those custom examples that we saw from like Coca-Cola and Toronto Arts Council. And you have the ability and the same look and feel of the Google Maps settings because it's still linking through Google. And we have the more elaborate UI that's built into the system by default, and you can still do search options and do any type of KML overlays that you would like to add. So we actually have a really great wiki article which goes over how to set up the impact maps in the UTA settings. And if we click here, this is the settings for the impact map that we were just looking at. And you can see that you're able to pre-filter out different types, statuses, and really define which fields you want to display as the aggregate total value and all the information fields that you want to use.
And maybe, Rachel, if you just open up that drop-down that says map theme. So we're able to apply different themes to the map as well. These are some common map themes that you can find, you'll see online, so you can do different styles with them as well. And yeah, thanks, Rachel. I forgot. I wanted to say KMLs earlier, and I just slipped my memory. But those are those are what the overlays are. They're actually KML files. If you can look them up online, a lot of them are public domain. They're easily accessible. And then you can just, in this case, we're storing the KMLs in smart folders, and that will just overlay the maps with those nice little boundaries. Like you can see here, we got neighborhoods, some congressional districts and boroughs, things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once you have set everything up, then what you're able to do is generate the HTML and JSON files, and you can store those into the smart folder in your system. And then that's actually what is being referenced here in this link on our main menu. So you'll notice here in the system that when I hover over the geomapping, in the bottom left-hand corner, it's actually referencing an HTML file. So that's what was generated through the system.
Yeah, and we do that on purpose in case you're wondering, well, why would we generate a link like that? Well, the link then can be placed anywhere, just like we've done here, what Rachel's done in the demo, just by creating a new tab. Maybe you want to have a link to it on the shortcut on a portal, or maybe you want to make it public and put it on your website.
Yeah, so you have the files available to either keep it internal, or it could be something that you integrate, that's something that's internet enabled and viewable by any stakeholder that you want. Yeah. So I think with that being said, we're ready for questions now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for that, Rachel and Eric. We have one question right now, actually.
Sure.
How are we charged for the Google Analytics connection? Is this built into our annual cost?
Yeah, there is no cost to you. We don't pass that on to our clients. That's just part of your subscription fee. It's incorporated into the platform, and we don't do any additional charges for our mapping integration.
Okay, thanks for that. I think another question that we've encountered here. When is this feature available? Sorry if I missed that.
No, they're available right now. You can take advantage of any of these features. You can contact people like Rachel or myself if we already are speaking, or even through our support desk. They'd be more than happy to help you enable or activate any of these features. And like Rachel was showing earlier, they're configuration screens in the system. Just like here, right? So you can just tinker around. Same as the list view maps. This is just a toggle on your list view settings. So I think Rachel's going to give us a quick demonstration here, just to show how easy it is to enable.
So if I head just to my default list view, you probably wouldn't want to do this to your default list view because you'd want that to render normally as a list, but you can certainly make other list views in your system. And when you go to your little wrench icon to configure it, you'll see that all that was done is click the Enable Map panel. And as soon as you click that and hit Save, the next time that you access that list view, it's going to open in split screen in the mapping. Now, just on that note, I wanted to make a correction from the last webinar we did. To be able to do a list view map, it needs to be UTA based. So it wouldn't be something that you would use in a portal. It wouldn't render. The split screen option that comes up automatically is something that you could only do like through a UTA list view directly, or the org list view. And it has to be a system list view, not a personal list view.
Yeah. Okay. But topics like that and questions like that are excellent, because then we'll take them back. We'll discuss with our development team, and maybe in the next upgrade we'll be able to have portal-based list view maps as well.
Okay. Another question that we have here: can the header and the footer on the saved HTML be removed?
The header and the footer?
Yes.
That's part of the. Again, it's in the HTML. So when it generates the HTML file, it's just a. If you have the competency to work with HTML files, you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay. Going back to our previous question, so there's a follow-up question after that. Once I make it a list view, how easy would it be to put on a portal or a link to the map list view in a portal or dashboard?
Oh, so that's pretty straightforward. So that if you go to your so first you need to go to your role that you want to make an adjustment to. And then once you're on that role, you can access the portal settings, and in there you may have you may want to do it as a shortcut. So if you're talking about the impact map like that, then you can just copy and paste the link that it generates and put that in a shortcut or put it in a section on your portal. However, as Rachel had mentioned, the list view maps are only available through the main module. So if she goes to her granting or her organization screen, then you can enable them there. You just, unfortunately, at this time, you can't put a map list view in a section on a portal.
Yeah, the list view ones will work. I'm trying to see if I can show you how the HTML link is referenced. I'm not sure which one of the users it is. But yeah, as I was showing earlier, you can see in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, all this portal, your main menu link is referencing just a file, just an HTML file that you've got saved from the generation in the control screen there.
Okay. There was a point earlier about US Census integrations. Are we looking at integrating with other census, such as Canadian Census?
Yeah, we can. I mean, as long as it's, we can integrate with anything as long as A, they make it publicly available. B, in some cases, we need they'll have an API of sorts. But if and we'll be talking about integrations in an upcoming webinar as well. We'll go a bit more in depth in those. But yeah, there's nothing stopping us. It's the same way we integrate with the IRS, CRA, all these other databases, like for the tax services from various countries. It operates the same way with things like the census.
Okay, well, thanks for that, Eric. Do we have any other questions before we wrap up?
Good.
I think that's it for now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us for today's webinar. We will be uploading a recording of this on our YouTube channel. It should be available by next week. If you have any questions, our support team is available 24/5. So just simply send them an email, support@smartsimple.com, and they'd be happy to help out. Thanks again, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Bye for now.